So now we are seeing about discrete time system. So far we have seen about everything clearly about signals, basic signals, classification of signals and classifications of discrete time signals. Now we are moving into discrete time systems. Okay. A discrete time system is a device or an algorithm that operates on a discrete time signal called the input or excitation according to some well defined rules or set of instruction to produce another discrete time signal called as output or response of the system. Okay, these are called as discrete time systems. So it is a physical device which is having some set of rules, or else it follows some algorithm which takes a discrete time signal as a input, and depending upon the rules or else the algorithm, it modifies the input signal and produces another discrete time signal called as response or output of the signal. This is called as discrete time system. Okay. In general, systems performs a set of operations on the input signal x of n to produce output signal y of n. If you observe here, in entire the subject we are going to call the signal or as a sequence x of n or y of n. Okay. Only in terms of small n we are going to describe. If you see this one, this is x of n. Okay, the input discrete time signal is given to some discrete time system. Output y of n is equal to this x of n is somewhat modified based on the rules of the system. So we are writing that as t of x of n, where t is called as transformation. That means output signal is nothing but the transformed version of input signal. So y of n is equal to t of x of n. So this is mathematically modeled as a unique transformation or operator. Okay. This is the main discrete time system, a simple description. Next one. Examples of systems. So x of n is equal to transformation, y of n is equal to transformation of x of n. So some examples, if you see ideal delay system, if the system is ideally delayed system, then y of n is equal to x of n minus nd. There will be some changes in n, that means the delay nd is introduced. If the system is an accumulator system, then y of n is equal to k equal to minus infinite to n x of k in specified region minus infinite to n. These are the some examples for discrete time systems. Okay. So next, there are some key points to know about the discrete time systems. Let us see one by one. Input signal x of n is transformed by the system into a signal y of n. The general relationship between x of n and y of n is equal to transformation of x of n, where t denotes the transformation or operator processing performed by the system on x of n to produce y of n, where t of represents the transformation, nothing but the set of rules or the algorithm or the set of instructions on how we are going to modify that x of n. Okay, these are the few points on discrete time systems. So there are several ways of discrete time systems, several categories. Among those categories we are seeing some classification. They are static and dynamic systems, causal and non-causal systems. See, observe the difference. This is not casual system. This is causal. It has to be pronounced as causal system. Causal and non-causal systems. Time variant and time invariant systems. Linear and non-linear systems. Stable and unstable systems. Okay. These are the 5 categories and classifications of our discrete time signals. So among those we are going to see one by one. First one is static system and dynamic system. A discrete time system is called static or memoryless if its output at any instant of time depends on input samples at the same instant of time, but not on past or future samples of input. So present state output has to be depend on the present state input only. those type of systems are called as static system. This static system is otherwise called as memoryless system, which it is not going to have, it is not going to store any memory. It only produces present output, depends on only present input. These are called as static system. Okay, so in any other case, if the system depends on past and future samples of input, then those are called as dynamic systems or memory systems. Next one is causal and non-causal systems. A system is said to be causal if the output of system at any time depends only at present and past inputs, but not on future inputs. Okay, those type of systems are called as causal systems, and if it depends on both present, past and future inputs, then those are called as non-causal systems. If you see here in this example, this can be represented mathematically as y of n is equal to x of n plus x of n minus 1. This is causal system. Okay, y of n is equal to x of 2n, non-causal system. This means x of n, that is present state input, x of n minus 1, that is past state input. So it is depending only on those two parameters. So that is called as causal system. X of 2n, if n equal to 1, then x of 2n is equal to x of 2, that which is nothing but future state of input. So these type of systems are called non-causal systems. See, in your examinations, maybe you will be asked the questions. They will give some systems mathematically like this, and they will ask to check for stability, causality, like that. Okay, so in order to proceed with those problems, you all have to keep these points in your mind. You have to make notes of this one, and you have to keep everything one by one sorted. Means what is meant by static, what is the difference between static and dynamic, how causal system differs from static, how stable system differs from causal. In between all the systems, you have to figure out all the differences, and you have to make sure you are having some clarity on different classifications of systems. Okay, we'll proceed with next one. Linear and non-linear systems. We all know linearity and non-linearity. A system that satisfies the principle of superposition principle is said to be a linear system. As simple as that. If any system disobeys the principle of superposition, then those systems are called as non-linear systems. The response of the system to a weighted sum of signals should be equal to corresponded individual weighted sum of outputs of the system to each of the individual input signals is called nothing but principle of superposition. That means transformation of a1 x1 of n plus transformation of a2 x2 of n, the whole system transformation is equal to individual sum of individual transformations. If any system follows the rule, then that system is linear system. If any system disobeys this rule, then that system is called as a non-linear system. Okay, as simple as that. Next classification, time variant and time invariant systems. A system is said to be time invariant if the characteristics of the system don't change with time. That means the characteristics should not change with time. Okay, if the input sequence delay by k units, then the output y of nk is equal to transformation of x of n minus k. Ideal delay system we have seen with n minus nd. Here rather than nd, I took k as variable. Delay the output sequence by k units, denote it as y of n minus k. If output of y of n comma k, this output is equal to y of n minus k for all possible values of k, then the system is time invariant. If this is not equal to this one, then the system is time variant. Okay, that means here we have to check for two criteria. First criteria is we have to introduce, first step we have to introduce delay in input output sequence. That means y of n comma k is equal to transformation of x of n minus k. We have to find out this transformation depending upon the rules. So next step is delay the output sequence by k units. So y of n minus k we have to find out. You will come across y of n here. So you have to find out y of n minus k. You have to make equal this y of n minus k equation and this t of x of n minus k equation. If both are equal, then that is time invariant system. The properties of that system is not changing with time. If both are not equal, then the properties of the system or characteristics of the system are changing with time. Then those are called as time invariant systems. Okay. If you do problems on these systems, then you will get some clarity on those systems. Okay. So next, stable and unstable systems. As you all know about BIBO concept, right? Bounded input and bounded output. So an LTI system is stable if it produces a bounded output or sequence for every bounded input sequence. If the input for every bounded input, that means if the input is limited to -2 to 2 time interval, then the output is also restricted to -2 to 2. That means the both input and output should be bounded. Okay, then an arbitrary relaxed system is said to be bounded input, bounded output, stable if and only if every bounded input produces a bounded output. In between those duration of, if you take minus infinite to infinite, if you take -3 to 0 time interval, in that time interval, if the output is also same as bounded like input, then those type of systems are called stable systems. If that is not, if the output is not bounded, that means the output is extending towards some infinite or else extending to minus infinite, in both ways you have to consider, then those type of systems are not at all bounded systems, unstable systems. Okay, those are called as unstable systems. You can see the example there. The input sequence x of n and the output sequence y of n are bounded is translated mathematically to mean that there exists some finite numbers, say mx and my, such that x of modulus x of n less than or equal to mx less than infinite, modulus y of n less than my less than infinite for every value of n. Okay, this is the perfect definition of stability. So next classification. Okay, we have completed our classification of discrete time systems, and we are going to see a basic and very important topic, resolution of discrete time signal into impulses. See, x of n is equal to summation k equal to minus infinite to infinite x of k del of n minus k. See, in analog systems we will represent integral, but in discrete systems we will represent this summation. Okay, so this is n and this is x of n. So at -3 the coefficient is a minus 3, at 1 the coefficient is 1, at 2 instant 2 at the coefficient is 2, at 7 coefficient is a7. So in general you can represent this x of n, the discrete time signal, in any either of 4 ways that we have discussed earlier. But here this, depending upon this x of n, this can be represented with the help of impulses. See, why we are representing with the help of impulses means it is very compatible, and depending upon this concept only the convolution sum is going to appear. Okay, that's why. So let us see how this x of n is represented. X of n is equal to minus a3 coefficient del of n plus 3. Okay, so this means if you consider only this sample, this is impulse sample occurred at -3. This is also an individual impulse sample occurred at 1. So you have to consider like this, all impulse samples. Okay, plus a1 del of n minus 1 plus a2 del of n minus 2 plus a7 del of n minus 7. Like this you can represent a single sequence with the help of impulses. This is the very important concept and very point that helps to figure out convolutions or else to figure out time domain analysis and some linear filtering methods also. So any signal you will be able to represent with the help of these del formulas, okay, in the form of impulses. Any signal can be represented in the form of impulse trains like this, okay. So now we are going to see about convolution sum. This is a very important concept, and it depends on the resolution of discrete time signal into impulses. Here we have expressed our signal x of n in terms of x of k and impulse train, okay, del of n minus k. This is what we are going to apply to get convolution of two signals. Here x of n is represented in the form of x of k equal to minus infinite to infinite, x of k into del of n minus k. So then the response of the system to x of n is transformation of corresponding sum of weighted impulses. That is, y of n is equal to transformation of x of n. So t of this one we have to submit here, t of x of k into del of n minus k, and summation k equal to minus infinite to infinite. Whether this is depending upon k, this is constant, so it will come out. The transformation applies only to the term where n is there. So transformation of del of n minus k. If the response of LTI system to the unit sample sequence del of n is denoted as h of n, that is h of n is equal to transformation of del of n, we can write as h of n minus k is equal to transformation of del of n minus k. That means this transformation t of del of n minus k has to be replaced by taking a linear time invariant system whose unit sample response is h of n is equal to transformation of del of n like this, okay. So h of n as discussed, h of n minus k is equal to transformation of del of n minus k. So we have to substitute below. Here rather than t of del of n minus k, we have to substitute h of n minus k, which is nothing but convolution sum of two sequences x of n and h of n. This is called as convolution or else linear convolution. We are going to see problems on convolutions and problems on circular convolutions, how we are going to solve problems on circular convolutions, and how we are going to verify the results of circular convolution using DFT and IDFT techniques, okay. This is called linear convolution. So next, time domain analysis of discrete time signals. These discrete time signals can be analyzed both in time domain as well as frequency domain. So in time domain, we have to take a general formula of the difference equation. Y of n is equal to minus k summation k equal to 1 to n a k y of n minus k, which are the past states of outputs, plus summation k equal to 0 to n a k into x of n minus k. This is called a linear difference equation, where n is called the order of the difference equation, okay. So to that linear difference equation, the solution will be of two parts. First one is natural response, second one is forced response. As we all know that natural response is homogeneous solution, and for forced response the solution will be in particular solution. So we have to take the y of n will be y h of n plus y p of n, represents homogeneous solution as well as particular solution, okay. Next, the homogeneous solution is obtained by setting terms involving the input x of n to 0. So homogeneous solution can be obtained by substituting x of n is equal to 0. So the above equation becomes summation k equal to 0 to n a k into y of n minus k is equal to 0, where a naught is equal to 1. Okay, to solve above equation, we have to assume y h of n is equal to lambda power n. Okay, by substituting that one, we will get summation k equal to 0 to n ak into lambda power n minus k is equal to 0. Here y of n minus k is there. Okay, so that's why we have to substitute lambda power n minus k. So the above equation, this is called as the characteristic equation, which is having n number of roots denoted as lambda 1, lambda 2 and so on lambda n. Okay, the solution for this will be C1 lambda power n, C2 lambda 2 power n and so on plus Cn lambda n power n. This homogeneous solution we have obtained in this form. Okay, these all are the mathematics basis that we have in M1 or in any other mathematical subjects. You guys have come across those. Okay, this homogeneous solution and particular solution. If roots are separated, say lambda 1 is repeated m times, then the general solution of yh of n contains the term. If the lambda 1 power n, lambda 2 power n, those are repeated, means lambda 1 power n can be written as c1 plus c2n plus c3n square and so on, like this. A general solution you can write like this. Okay, if the characteristic equation has complex roots, then the solution will be r power n into a1 cos n theta plus a2 sin n theta. Okay, the solution will also be in complex form. So the general form of particular solution for several inputs, we are having some basic signals. For that basic signals or the particular solution exists uniquely. So that's those are for step input, the particular solution will be constant term k. For exponential input, the output will be k power m. For cos or continuous signals, the output will be like this. So the total solution y of n is equal to yh of n plus yp of n, where yh of n is a homogeneous expression, that is which is nothing but the solution for this is nothing but this one, lambda 1 power n into c1 plus c2n plus c3n square plus and so on cn n m minus 1, where yp of n, the particular solution, depends upon the input sequence which we have applied. Okay, in this way we can analyze the signals, discrete time signals in time domain. Okay, this is very complex form, that's why we'll adopt some techniques called DTFT and we'll change it to frequency domain, then there we'll analyze those signals. Okay, this is the analysis of discrete time signals in time domain.